Happy Halloween. So yeah, welcome to a random review. It's Halloween. Let's review a classic. So, Halloween, written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, directed by John Carpenter, starring Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Soles, Nancy Loomis, and Nick Castle, and as I've said already, Jamie Lee Curtis. So, this, of course, you know already. Michael Myers kills his sister on Halloween night of '63, gets put away for 15 years, breaks out in 1978, returns home, goes on a murder spree, and of course we see Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, fight for survival as she's been chased by this evil force that is the Shape, Michael Myers. But of course Dr. Loomis is on the hunt for him and also manages to gun him down, and she asks if that was the boogeyman, and he says he believes it was, only for Michael to disappear. And that's the original story, the original film from 1978. And after this, the franchise branches off into various timelines, like Halloween 2, and then 4, 5, and 6, and then H2O, Halloween 2, H2O, Resurrection. Then there's the remakes, Halloween 3, and then there's the David Gordon Green trilogy. But today, on this one, I am talking about the 1978 original. So, what did I like about this? Well, it was an hour and a half long, and it was a cheap movie to make, very low budget, but you know what? It worked. It really worked. It was meant to be set in Illinois, in the town of Haddonfield, which I believe Haddonfield is fictional, and was filmed in the summer. Yeah, filmed in the summer, so they got fake autumn leaves and they laid them out, and then at the end of every shoot they had to pick them all up and spread them out again because they had that limited resources with the leaves. Also, little fact, Robert Englund, I believe, helped in that department. Yeah, Freddy Krueger himself. But yeah, this was the start for Jamie Lee Curtis's career. Before this, she was known as the daughter of Janet Leigh. Well, in this, she makes a sort of co-star leading role. Definitely staples herself as a scream queen in the horror genre, and sets a lot of standards for what would become the final girl trope. Of course, at this point, I feel the slasher genre was still in its teething stages, but by the 80s, it's when it grew up. But this was just before the 80s. I liked Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie. And another fact, the scene where she's walking along and singing to herself, that was improvised. She just made it up on the spot. Also, I liked the other characters like Linda and Annie, who were played by PJ Soles and Nancy Loomis. They were great in this too, even though they bite the dust at Michael's hand. We even get the character of Bob, who's Linda's boyfriend, who again, he meets his demise by the hand of the Shape. And of course, warning to dog lovers, Michael does kill a dog in this, but it's very quick, I hope. Well, he strangles the dog, so yeah. But Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis, he was an interesting character, played by the great actor. Of course, the role of Dr. Loomis was originally offered to Christopher Lee, but he saw the script, wasn't impressed, saw no potential in this film, but he actually ended up kicking himself after this film came out because he was like, I should have took the role. Maybe in some alternate timeline he did, but Donald Pleasance sells it as it is. He was great in it, and he was an interesting character to watch, named after the character Sam Loomis from Psycho. Of course, we had Sheriff Lee Brackett, played by Charles Cyhers or something. He was, he was the sheriff in it, who was with Dr. Loomis hunting Michael down. I also thought, let's go to the face of this franchise, Michael Myers. where he makes his big killer debut, played by Nick Castle, the original actor who reprised his role in cameo form in David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy many years later. But he plays the Shape in this one, except for that one scene where he's unmasked. That's a different actor. And of course, the mask. You all know about the mask, don't you? It was a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask from Don Post. They darkened the hair, removed the sideburns, cut the eye holes wider, and painted it white and made it unrecognisable. If they'd have not sent that letter to William Shatner saying thanks for letting us use your face, maybe they wouldn't have got onto them and they had to change the look of the mask in later films. But yes, Michael Myers. He's not the first slasher villain, obviously, but the way he prowls around like a shark, waiting to kill him. What is his motive? Why does he do this? In later films, excuse me, we get various explanations and different reasons for his killing, like in the in the timeline with the Curse of Michael Myers, he's driven by a curse from the Cult of Thorn. In others and that. Also in this one, him and Laurie aren't siblings. That wasn't confirmed until Halloween 2. And also in the later timeline from David Gordon Green, they're not siblings. And as far as I'm concerned, in this one, they're not siblings. At least not in the original. But from the original Halloween 2 following onwards, yeah, I'll take that. But yeah, what is Michael's motive and reason for killing? We don't know. But that scene where Dr. Loomis explains that he had evil eyes, the devil's eyes, and that white pale face, that was an iconic scene. And the way he describes his face kind of describes the mask he's wearing. But yeah, why does Michael kill? What is his means of motive? All that we could know is that he is just pure and simply evil from being a small boy, killing his sister Judith on Halloween 1963. We do get kills in this, like Bob's death when he's pinned to the wall, Annie when she's strangled by him at the back of her car, and again we also get Linda who gets strangled with phone wire. Yeah, we only get probably 4 on-screen kills in this movie. He kills another guy off-screen and gets his overalls. But yeah, also there's that heavy breathing he does. And when Dr. Loomis shoots him and he falls out the window, how did he survive that? Because when Dr. Loomis looks again, he's gone. Like I say, it was a horror movie. They wanted to make it... They made it cheap as they could, and it actually worked. John Carpenter wasn't as well known back then. He had a few films like Assault on Pre-16 and that other one. But this one definitely launched him into stardom as well as a filmmaker. He had no intention on doing sequels, or let alone this film franchising. He didn't even think that this film would do well at all. It was originally titled The Babysitter Murders at one point, but then they thought, we've got Black Christmas, what other holiday can we do here? Halloween. And that's when it was born, Halloween. Of course, they did attempt at turning it into an anthology series, but that didn't quite work out. But time's been good to that one, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. But yeah, Halloween. I also love the score. The score was actually done as well by John Carpenter from that iconic theme, that and then that other thing like Carpenter did all that himself, and they had limited time, limited resources, and they actually ended up creating a classic which people still watch, still talk about over 4 decades later. And yeah, so Halloween, what am I going to rate this one? You know what, it's a no-brainer. I'm giving it 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 for Halloween. So there you go. Have you seen this one? If you're a true horror fan like myself, you will have. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Has it aged well? Is it still great? Let me know all that down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and to hit that notification bell. All of my social media links are linked down below in the description, so feel free to check all that out. I have a horror channel because I love horror, but all month I've been doing 31 days on there, so you can probably watch the whole thing now on that channel. You know, it'll concluded by today, and also, you know, at the time of making this video, at the time it's out on Halloween, I'll be having many other Halloween specials on my horror channel, so feel free to check that out. So there you go. Have you seen this? I've already said it already, so yeah. Until next time, I bid you all a goodbye, friends, goodbye, and happy Halloween.